Ladies and gentlemen, let us today talk about psychological safety. I know every individual that you're around is psychologically safe. I'm certain, right? Oh, maybe that's not the case. Which is why today we're going to speak on this. What is it that this is? And why is it that it matters? So guys, I'm still here, this beautiful place, amazing scenery. And if I'm honest with you, how fitting to be speaking about psychological safety in what seems so safe. The beautiful nature of the world. And give me one moment, guys. I'm going to get some water. Woo! Refreshing. It's just, I could sit here and I could make a video without drinking water, but it's going to be on my mind. Oh, I need water. And if I'm not hydrated, I cannot speak the truth to the best of my abilities. So, psychological safety. First, we must understand what is psychological safety and why is it important. So psychological safety, how I would define it to someone, is the ability for a person to feel the ability to express themselves fully in the presence of another individual. That is how I would describe psychological safety. And now, why does this matter? It matters because to achieve excellence, to be successful, to be someone who has power in any certain domain, you will a lot of the time require to be someone that others can put pressures, can put responsibilities on. And in essence, if that's you, that is going to be hand in hand with psychological safety, if not already be a part of that. So, it's a fly, but okay, guys. So we know, right? Who doesn't like to be around someone where they feel safe to express themselves fully? Who doesn't like that? Who would wish to be in another situation or in a different environment? I don't think you would. And I know that I wouldn't. I love to be in settings where I feel safe to express myself. The world can be stressful, and the world can be filled with things that make you ball yourself up internally to protect yourself from the things that we may encounter. You will oftentimes be in these positions, guys. The world can be upsetting. And I guarantee if you've seen something bad or you've heard a terrible news story, I guarantee you that you can come across one that is even worse than that. So, with that part being said, where do we go from here? Well, I know you, yes, you watching this, I know you wish to be successful. You wish to be the individual who others can rely on, who others can count on. I know that you wish to be this individual. And this part right here is the reason as to why you can't. because people do not feel that, one, you cannot handle the burdens of the job that you're tasked with having, and secondly, that they cannot confide in you fully. So here is the key, guys. Here's the key to being psychologically safe. Get your notepads, get your pens, get your pencils, get everything ready, okay? The key to being psychologically safe for others is being psychologically safe for oneself first. I know. How anticlimactic, guys. To be psychologically safe, all you need to do is be psychologically safe yourself. And in a world where we could say the majority of individuals are not psychologically safe, how can we do this? And I'll be honest, guys. There are moments when I feel in my mind that I'm going in a circle, or it feels like, man, may I lose my mind? And if it was just up to us from the flesh, we would lose our mind in an instance. I would. Oh my gosh, all of the time. The thing is, you need to be connected to God, and you need to have a deep spirituality, because God will speak to you through your mind. And so when you're rooted with God in your mind, you, in essence, will be psychologically safe, because that's the real root of psychological safety, is spiritual safety, is connection to God. Because sure, you can have stressors, you can have anxieties, you can have depressing moments, but you will always be rooted and understand that if it is not a tribulation, it is merely a test that Satan is trying to give you to see if you will fail. And so when you thrive in these things and you're the pillar, these things resonate, guys. What? People don't think that everything you do counts? What you eat counts. Why is it that bodybuilders eat chicken and rice and broccoli to get into their best positions and best shapes? I don't hear them eating pizzas and things of that nature. They eat chicken, they eat rice, and they eat broccoli. So, if in your mind you are I can't say that word because it will get demonetized, but you guys know what I mean. In your mind you are putting things such as X-rated content, or things such as violence, and listening to music that is not aiding you, guys, what do you expect? How could you be psychologically safe? All this stuff matters. Are you going to God, or are you going away from God? The old parable and the old adage, if you're not going towards pleasure, you're going away from pain. And really, this means, guys, for one, you need to be in truth to be psychologically safe. So, from everything that I have seen in my own experience, I have seen that the truth of the world is in Jesus Christ. That is what I have come to know, that is the truth of the world. And if that is the truth of the world, extrapolate this. The truth of Jesus Christ lies in the Catholic Church. Not because, per se, of the saints being the only way out, not at all. But rather, the Catholic Church was the first church in the world. See, oftentimes, we forget about history. But the thing is, you're living your life based off of history. The streets that you're driving on have the names based on history. The food that you're eating, you know, is good for you or not based off of history. So why would history not implicate our spiritual connections as well? We think, oh, these things in history matter, but when it comes to our faith, it doesn't. So I can be a part of a church that was formed in the 1500s by someone who wasn't Jesus? Of course not. And if you are, let's say, a different denomination of Christianity, I love you. You are my brother or my sister, and that is the reality. It is just I see that you will have more truth in your life if you are with the Catholic Church, guys. And that was my little soliloquy to connect that to what we're speaking on, right? Because ultimately, I have been someone that people feel safe around, psychologically speaking, which has always been funny to me because I oftentimes have never felt psychologically safe myself. And so once I started to get with Christ and I understood this, then you start to see it. People are able to express themselves. And there's a pro and a con. Because if you're psychologically safe, people who may have evil on their mind or evil in their heart for a period may want to take that out on you, right? That is the reality. But being psychologically safe and being connected to God, these things won't affect you the same because ultimately you're connected to God. So you're on a different, let's say, connection and a different wavelength than someone who is spewing evil things. Because good trumps evil, as we know. So God will always trump any demonic attack, anything like this. That is something I've experienced. And however, these things that I'm saying that can occur, right, are so rare. And if they occur, it is because God is tasking you with a test to fortify you to be psychologically safe. Because if you never are tested, how could you ever be psychologically safe, my brother or my sister? How? To be psychologically safe, you will have to be tested more than others. It's the only way it works. To be the richest man in the world, you must work more than everyone else. To be psychologically safe, you must go through harder tests than others or everyone else, right? That is what it is, guys. And so let me speak to the benefits of being psychologically safe. Well, this is what women want. Women want to be with a man that they can be themselves around. Women don't want to be controlled. Women want to feel that I can express my emotion. I can put my emotion on this person and I know he's not going to be defensive or he's not going to lash out. Because when a woman expresses her emotion to you, it's connecting her to you. Because now she sees you as someone who has power, as someone who is strong and capable of guiding her. And so these things only build stronger bondage. And sure, maybe when you're in these moments of intense emotion, it feels like intense emotion or you feel scared. But this isn't emanating out of you. That's how you feel because it's merely a test and it's a muscle that has been fortified. And so the people around you can rely on you like a pillar. A pillar is what you will be. Just as we see the pillars for these railings, the pillars for these buildings, you will be that pillar and that rock for your family. And that is your duty, and that is your role, and that is your job. That is your job, simply put, to be the rock. And you cannot be the rock if you're not psychologically safe, guys. This world has people, the majority, who are not psychologically safe. And if you're not psychologically safe, how could I ever unveil to you who it is that I am fully? How could I do that? Being honest, how could I do that if you're not psychologically safe? Because a part of me is always saying, I have to hold this part back because they may do something completely out of their character. Because psychologically safe doesn't mean that you can't get annoyed or you can't get upset or you can't get angry. No. However, it does mean that even in those expressions, you display them in a safe manner. It's not a way of saying that this thing consumes you, right? Like the anger consumes you. You are just angry. That's who you are. And you lose yourself. And so when you're in these states, you're no longer the same person. No, that's not the idea. The idea is angry and righteous anger is good. To defend oneself, to defend one's family, to defend what is true. But anger that is out of control, that isn't connected to God, is supremely destructive and chaotic. And this is what we see with the majority of people who are incarcerated. These things, these moments of anger that can come out as pride, right? And if that is you, my brother or sister, maybe you are in this position, I want you to know that, first of all, I commend you for learning from your experiences, and you are able to do anything just as I am. It's just these behaviors, these things are what will ultimately bring us down, what will bring our society down, what will cause us to falter, these things. So, work on that psychological safety. Pray to God. Get connected to God, guys. The only way to be psychologically safe is to be connected to God. It's the only way. Because to be psychologically safe, you need to be spiritually safe. And to be spiritually safe, you need a connection with God. And then you say, okay, I am a non-denominational Christian, or I'm a Protestant, whatever it may be. Okay. From my experience, what I've learned, they don't have the full truth, because there's parts of history that are missing there, and there's people and people's opinions that are missing in these faiths. And I do believe, don't get me wrong, I do believe that God is working over time, at least from a human perspective, right? To God's perspective, I don't know how God thinks, but He is more than happy to aid us, from what I've come to know. And He has given people truth in these other domains, in these other faiths, right? In Islam, or in Judaism, or in the Protestant faith, right? And other things, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever it may be, right? God has given some truth, but the full truth is in the Catholic Church, my brothers and sisters. And if you are united with God, you are psychologically safe. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is the game, and you must adapt. If you wish to be successful, if you wish to be the pillar, if you wish to stop falling into the same cycle over and over and over again, these are the things that must get done. So please, God is counting on you. I am counting on you. Your family is counting on you. Get to work, because the time is now. There will not be another moment, just this one. And you are more than capable. Let's go, guys.